What's up, guys? It's Tom. Welcome back to the lab. Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to my life. Now today, I have a special one for y'all. Let me give you some backstory. A little while back, in the comment section of a video I posted several months ago, somebody recommended a fellow YouTuber's channel to me, a guy named Andrew Southworth. They said, hey, this guy digs into the data in a similar way to you. I think you might like his channel. So I click the link. I go check out his videos, I start going down the rabbit hole, and lo and behold, Andrew has a very, very similar ethos to me when it comes to learning about streaming, learning about numbers, and trying to grow your presence as an artist, as a YouTuber, all across the board. And he does it in a similar way. He loves looking at the data. He loves spreadsheets, just like me. He loves picking it apart and finding patterns and ways to improve. So I'm digging through Andrew's videos, and a few days later, out of the blue, I get an email from Andrew. We've never met before. It just happened to time out that way. And he asked me if I would do a video on his YouTube channel talking about my career in music and how I have managed to earn a living doing what I do. I'll throw a link to that video in the description. Go check it out. We had a great conversation. Super grateful to Andrew for putting me on his channel. He's got a lot more subscribers than I do and is absolutely killing the game. In return for me being on his channel, Andrew offered to be on my channel. He was like, we can talk about anything you want to. If you think I can help maybe bring some value to your audience, I'd love to chat with you for your channel too. So I was like, hell yeah, let's talk about it. And the specific thing I wanted to get into was his experience in marketing, namely using Facebook ads. But also I wanted to talk about some of the failures he's had, some of the tests he's run that just didn't pan out. We sat down for what ended up being a pretty long conversation, and I think it's loaded with tons of great information, and I think you're going to get a lot out of it too. So let's dive into it. Here's my conversation with the one, the only, Andrew Southworth. Well, Andrew, thank you for being on my channel. I have to say, I'm kind of fanboying a little bit. I'm pretty psyched to have you on here because when you first hit me up via email, I had just discovered your channel like the week before, and I was like really digging into your videos. Like, man, this guy is great. Somebody like commented a link to one of your videos under one of my videos, and so I started watching. I was like, dude, this is awesome stuff. And then I got your email. I was like, no way. That guy who I've been watching, like, I felt like I was getting contacted by like a celebrity a little bit because I'd like seen you on the screen, you know. So
oh man, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to hit you up later on who sent you that link so I can, I don't know, reward them in some way or thank them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Now that I've got you here, can you tell everybody kind of what it is you do and who you are?
Yeah. So my name's Andrew Southworth. I'm a music producer, vocalist, and I guess kind of a YouTuber. And the whole goal behind my YouTube channel is that I share among other things, but most nowadays is I share all the things I'm trying to promote my music just to kind of help other artists figure it out themselves. So I try things and I report on them, just like what you do with some of your like playlist videos and other like Spotify promotion things. And in the past, I did a lot of music production videos and software tutorials, and way back I would teach screaming lessons. And but nowadays I'm focused. My kind of main goal is to just help artists do what I'm doing and show them how to do it in a way that they don't have as many failures and wasted money and waste of time as I did. So yeah. And then in terms of like my music, I do like electronic music of various styles. So
yeah, I would say from what I've heard, there's like a bit of a pop lean to all the music you put out. Like it's not weird, like mysterious electronic. There's definitely like some catchiness to it.
Yeah. When people ask, I usually just say it's like electronic / pop. Like nowadays I'm trying to go more down the future-based direction. So like Millennium, San Holo, Said the Sky, Seven Lions kind of thing. But I've done a whole bunch of, so I just say electronic / pop. But
cool.
Yeah. No weird like experimental down tempo jazz. Or,
right.
As much as I appreciate
breathing.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I want there's two different kind of directions that people seem to take when it comes to like giving advice and teaching things on YouTube or just the internet, really. Like there's the let me tell you what you should do thing, follow my advice. And then there's the here's what I did and here's what happened. And do what you want kind of thing. Is there a reason you decided to take that route, the sort of data-driven approach of just like, here's what happened, do whatever you want to with it, rather than like, let me give you advice?
Yeah, so I think part of it comes down to the way that I kind of like reinforce what I do and understand it better is teaching it. So
yeah,
when I'm trying to get better at something, I often will teach it. And then there's another side to it where I don't want to make it sound like I'm like there. A lot of these things that I've done on my channel, like not just the music marketing, like the streaming lessons, there isn't 100% way. There isn't a right way. Like there's ways that work better and there's ways that work worse. And I think it's good for people to see that even when something goes wrong, like they can kind of learn from that. And so there's value in seeing the good, the bad, and then also kind of not. I don't want to tell people like you shouldn't do this because that doesn't work. Whereas that might work great, but like this is what I'm doing, and this is how it's working for me. This might be doing better than that one, but maybe the next song it doesn't do better. Like, you know, so I And then I think the last part is I'm an engineer, like a mechanical engineer, so I'm kind of a data nerd. So I, aside from Spotify for Artists, which I think today, you know, I had a song come out. I think I've looked at it 50 times today, just watching it every 30 minutes, like watching the streams go up, and I'm checking the Facebook ad part to try to see how it's going. And I have Excel spreadsheets where I track all sorts of metrics aside from what Spotify for Artists gives me. So I'm just a huge nerd.
I do the same thing, man.
Yeah, and I saw that's when I first saw your video on the. I forget if it was the playlist push video or another general playlist video. I think it was I spent $1,000 in playlist promotion.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to hit you up because I was like, this dude is just like me in another life.
Exactly.
And I just like track because the way I look at it is you can't manage what you can't measure, and that's something I learned being working at a mechanical engineering company. You can't manage what you can't measure. So I try to measure all the things so I have access to the data. And that helps me, but it also makes it very good for YouTube videos because you can't go back a week ago and show what the save rate was in the song then. You have to manually track that. So that allows me to make my own charts and show data of, you know, save rate over time, listen rate over time, playlist acquisition over time, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I think in another life you have a future of opening like a data reporting firm for musicians.
Yeah, like Chartmetrics is doing like a free trial right now for you know the current world situation, and I jumped on that. It's like a 60-day free trial for musicians that aren't like in a part of a major label for indie musicians. And
you know, I didn't know about that. I need to check it out. I've heard of Chartmetric, but I didn't know about the free trial. I'm gonna go do that.
I wish that it wasn't so expensive. It's like $150 a month usually. So I'm just giving the free trial. I'm obsessing over the data, but it's a dope service for people like us, man. It's not just the data you get in Spotify for Artists. There's also a popularity index, which is a behind-the-hood Spotify number, which you can get through the Spotify API. That's a different direction. Then there's like playlist reach to follower ratio, fan conversion ratio, and all these other values that you can obsess over.
How or you know, in what way has tracking all that data changed the way you do things from release to release, or has it changed the way, like the data you track for say 3 releases ago, did it change the way you've done the last 2 releases? Has it informed your decisions like that?
So in 2019 I essentially did almost exclusively playlist promotion. Because I did have experience using Facebook ads because I have a company called Genera Studios that sells sample packs and stuff. So I've done Facebook ads for that, but I never had good results with music. And there was a couple reasons for that. A lot of it was I didn't have my branding and content strategies in place, so the ads weren't making people stick. And then, so I did all this playlist promotion. And then I started tracking data to the degree that I do now. And I noticed that the save rate of the songs was like 5% using playlists for
Mm-hmm.
which is horrendous.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that, okay, when I promote this song with ads, I'm getting like a 60% save rate, which is
Wow.
fantastic. And I've had songs that have
Yeah.
80% save rates, and like 4 times listen rates. And then,
Yeah.
so you're tracking all that data, you're seeing this huge difference. And then you're also seeing that you're getting, with Facebook ads, you're getting all these DMs from people saying like, dude, I added your song to my playlist. I've listened to it like 30 times. You go to Spotify for artists, you see this random playlist this guy owns with no followers, and you're getting 30 streams from that. And so it's all that data combined led me to make a video, which I think was my first marketing video, music marketing video, that was like Spotify playlist versus Facebook ads. And I talked about, this is what playlists give you, this bulk amount of streams, with low engagement rates. People aren't sticking. They're not truly fans. And this is what Facebook ads gives me. This higher save rate, higher follow rate, all this stuff. And it's drastically changed the way I think about my release strategies, my marketing strategies, even the type of music I make to a degree. Because now it's like you don't have to think about playlists. Because a lot of people obsess over playlists. Oh, you should be writing a song so that it'll fit good in a playlist. Now I think more about, I should write a song, one, that I just like, and then 2, if I really want to get gritty with it, target a song that you know you can market efficiently on Facebook, which is my most recent single I released today. I modeled it off of Millennium style, so that when I go to market it, I could target fans of Millennium. And, and people might think that sounds a little like, yo, you're selling out your sound for commercial, whatever, but I freaking love his music, and I love making that music. So it's kind of like it's just a win-win-win. And not saying that particular aspect is the most important part, but the marketing aspect it's changed the way that I promote all my music.
So is that where you move from playlisting to Facebook ads? Is that where you start when you go to create an ad now? Do you start with, all right, who am I targeting? I'm targeting fans of this artist or these artists. Or do you do just people who live here? Or do you do people who just like EDM in general? Like, how big and wide do you go?
I've tried probably all of those.
Yeah.
There's a couple different ways that I still do it now. It's not always the same. In every song, I kind of fine-tune a little bit and try different new strategies. But
yeah,
it does always start with the targets. So most of the time, I'm targeting a artist specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it does kind of depend on the song and the style of music. If you're promoting, I don't know, lo-fi hip-hop beats or something, it's hard to find a lot of artists that are targetable with Facebook ads that are in lo-fi hip-hop. So at that point, you're going to be targeting lo-fi hip-hop. For me, being an electronic music artist, I can, like my last song that I literally ran ads on, I was up till like 4 a.m. getting these ads launched. I targeted, the main one I targeted was 7 Lions and a bunch of related artists. I had another one for Flume. I had another audience for Chainsmokers. And in every single one of those audiences, it was just every single Spotify country. And then I just let Spotify go out and just find me the cheapest results. And then it will tell you which artist you're resonating with. And right now, 7 Lions is performing the cheapest. It's performing twice as cheap as Skrillex. So that means that people that like Skrillex are less likely to like my song, and I need to Facebook's going to put more budget towards the 7 Lions audience. So that's how I do the targeting.
Okay, so you're really piecing out each targetable point so that you can measure it later. Again, you can't manage what you don't measure. So you're creating your campaign, and then in your ad set groups, each ad set is only targeted to one artist, and you've got multiple ad sets.
Exactly, and there's a kind of balance game between like audience size, between ad sets. So like the 7 Lion ones, 7 Lions isn't big enough compared to like Flume or Skrillex. So the 7 Lion ones has him and Sanholo and Odessa and a few other artists, just to get like all those artists sound similar. Fans of 7 Lions like all those other artists pretty much.
Right.
So there's like a bucket of artists there. But then Chainsmokers, which is performing pretty bad, compared to Seven
Right.
Lions.
Yeah.
They're huge. So in that case, I actually had to make the audience smaller so that it was closer to the Seven Lions audience.
Gotcha.
But that's more of like a nitty-gritty detail you focus down the
Yeah.
line. Up front, the core
Now-
thing is like split test all these artists and figure out what does best.
So you'll create your campaign, then you'll split test all these artists, and then within each artist you'll split test multiple ads to figure out the ones that work as well, correct?
Exactly.
So it's a huge web.
Each one of these ad sets has between 4 and 5 ads in them. So there's 3 creatives, and then I do a split test between different accounts. So like I might get ad 1, and I might run it on my personal account, and then I might run it on my company account, Genera Studios. And sometimes there's a difference between those two, even though it's the same video. People see a company promoting it, and they're like,
yeah,
this looks a little more
more
legit than
legit.
this random dude named Andrew Southworth promoting his song.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm doing this kind of big web, as you called it, of it's one campaign that all goes to the same link, but there's 42 ads inside of it, all between these different audiences. And that's the whole goal of that, is just to let Facebook figure out what's the cheapest result.
And so you're optimizing at the campaign level, and then Facebook does its thing. It figures out which one delivers the best for the cheapest, and when that happens, you shut down all the other ones and start dumping your money into that one.
Exactly, and Facebook kind of does it on its own, like with campaign budget optimization. But I do go the extra mile and kind of anticipate ahead of Facebook. Like, okay, the Chainsmokers, like, it's so big, you can find a ton of people that get my result, but it's expensive.
Right.
So I'm probably going to turn it off today before Facebook decides to divert budget.
Right. Now, is there a way you have discovered to target artists, like, say, Illenium? I've tried to target him on Facebook ads and can't.
Nope, you can't.
Yeah, which is super frustrating. I don't understand how it draws that line. He has way more fans than Seven Lions, and yet Seven Lions appears.
Yeah, it's not 100. So I was helping someone out with ads who's promoting, I guess, kind of like you would call it emo rap or sad rap or something. And he was name dropping all of these big artists that he wanted to target that had like Illenium size or bigger audiences, and none of them were in Facebook ads. And I think it's
so frustrating.
It's because I also am in some metal projects, and I've found artists that are targetable with only 50,000 people. So it's not necessarily just audience size. It's a combination of audience size, how long they've been around, and I think there's kind of like if the person's been into like questionable stuff, like if they're like heavy drug references, I think Facebook looks at that and excludes it. And then another factor could be that maybe they don't have a big enough Facebook following. You know? Like maybe Facebook
because it is all very contingent on that, isn't it?
Yeah, if for some reason all of those people they're not really big into Facebook and Instagram, then and they can't correlate that data of who actually likes this artist. How else would they know? You know, they don't have access to the Spotify API. They don't know which Facebook fans actually like that person on Spotify. So it's this weird thing.
Well, maybe one day Facebook will just buy Spotify and integrate it. Who knows?
Well, they're integrated, and like you can make profiles with it. So I don't. Maybe they do have some access, but it would be dope if they were. Cool. If every artist was targetable, man. There's so many things I would be doing differently. You know.
Now, are you further down this line? Are you running ads on both Facebook and Instagram, or one or the other?
Yeah, my main thing that I found most successful is Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger stories. So specifically the vertical 15-second long story placement. And the reason why I think that works. Now, again, this is just to drive traffic, like a cold audience going to Spotify or Apple Music.
Right. Top of the funnel.
Top of funnel, fan acquisition. You can do some retargeting with it, but you're not like selling someone a T-shirt. You know, it's a pretty small ask. The nice thing with that is that people already have their sound on when they're in the stories. When someone's scrolling through their feed, most of the time the volume's off. So you get a lot of loss with that unless you have a very captivating visual. Like one example that Entrepreneur shows all the time is this artist, I think it was Dukes or something. He did a whole song performance in a car while driving. He had 4 people performing like electronic instruments and strumming guitar, and he was singing while driving. And they got the video to just, it was so interesting that it just popped in social
Yeah.
media with all the video view ads they were doing. But I think that's just so much harder and so much more rare for an artist to be able to do that, where that's where the story placements are an advantage, because it's just like,
Yeah.
here's a song. If you don't like it within 5 seconds, you're just going to skip.
Right.
And since it's a newer placement, I found it's probably also a cheaper placement. And then eventually Facebook will, jack up their ad price on us.
Yeah.
But
100%.
right? Yeah, that's what they do. Like, when they introduced Instagram at first, it was the best option. And then Instagram kind of got more expensive and harder because everyone started using it. And then stories came along.
Yeah.
And now people are starting to use it more. But then there's a lot of people aren't capitalizing on the Facebook and Messenger stories. So eventually that will get more saturated. But
I hadn't even considered that, because I, like most people I know, don't necessarily use the Facebook stories, and definitely not the Messenger stories. But
yeah,
that plays to our advantage as advertisers, because that means there's not much competition for content there either, which is a good move.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize. They'll be like, am I paying per click? And sometimes you are paying per click, but they don't realize that it's a bid-based system that's usually based on impressions. Like, if there's 1,000 people who want to target fans of Seven Lions, then that's going to cost a lot less than if there's 1 million people who want to run ads on the target of Seven Lions. Because there's just more competition. So Facebook says, okay, well, screw you. I'm going to jack up the ad cost because all these people want to get there. So
yeah. Now, as I understand it, with most like business-based Facebook ad running, I've got a couple friends who do really well at this on behalf of other businesses. They run a company just like what you do and do it for clients, but they do it for I'll call it normal businesses, not getting streams on Spotify. And sort of the goal with an ad like that, like say you're trying to get people to hire you to mow their lawn, is to run an ad and find the one that works through the system you've just outlined. And when you find one that works, it becomes profitable, in that you are spending less on your ad than you're making as a result of it. So you've got a profitable ad. In your experience, is that a possibility that happens with running ads to get Spotify streams?
I get this question a lot, and it's kind of a nuanced answer, because there's a no part and there's a yes part.
Yeah.
The no part is that you really should treat this specific type of ad I'm talking about, the getting cold audiences to Spotify, as you called it, a top of funnel fan acquisition type of approach. Right. Now, that's not to say it's entirely all bad news, because there's 2 ways you can actually make a profit on it. One, the song does well and it gets on an algorithmic playlist and it just rides that wave. Yeah. And I've had that happen. My last single of my music, where it's only been a month, it accumulated 42,000 streams within a month, and it hit the algorithmic playlist within less than $200 of ad spend or whatever.
Yeah.
I would anticipate that over the months it's going to generate more than that in streaming revenue, which will mean that it was a break-even effort. Now, what happens is that all the fans that I acquired through that song, they're still going to be there for my next song. So there is kind of this exponential factor. And you can, I'm not going to say you will, but you can turn that into something that at least breaks even, potentially makes you money. The real way that you make money with music or with the Spotify method, is that, at first you're going to be doing that, and maybe after months it'll break even. But long term, if you're growing all these fans on your artist account, is that you could have a big spike, and that will get you so many more streams than you're spending in ads. And when I talked to Ruslan, he's a rapper, he said that he's on this weird tipping point where he has enough fans to stream his music, where if he just kind of puts a little bit of ads into promoting a song, it causes it to get that spike where it actually does pay itself off. So that's one example. Now the next is that you can retarget everyone in Facebook for a generally cheaper cost, which means that you can say, if this person clicked on this ad, well, I'm going to send them an ad to buy my t-shirt, buy my album, give me their email address, do whatever, join my Patreon page or whatever. And that's where you really actually start to make significant money. So those are kind of the 2 different paths.
So you need to have a another tier or two down from just listen to my music. Like if you're going to have, it sounds like stop me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like if you're going to have a successful marketing campaign for your release, you need to have at least one more level down from just listen to my song. Like you need to have a kind of like 1-2 punch prepared. So you drop your song, listen to it, and then once you've got that interest, hey, also come, follow me on Patreon or come and buy my t-shirt or whatever. Like that's where you start to get your money back.
Yeah, that's the option where you get the most money, I would say. Like you can do the 100% Spotify aspect, and then long term, you'll kind of accumulate this audience where there's an exponential factor to it, where like you're actually making enough back where you could just reinvest that back in the ads, and it will just pay itself off, and then eventually get past that tipping point where it actually starts to generate you more because of all the algorithmic playlists and the way that followers work. So that's probably the more long-term, less profitable path, but it is a profitable path in the long term. And again, I'm a relatively I have like 16,000 monthly listeners, so like I have a decent following, but I'm not like 200,000 monthly listeners, like 500,000 streams per month. So I can't say 100% the fact that that's going to happen with my music, but I do have another band where we broke even on the ads because of the algorithmic playlist. We spent $1,500 in ads and made roughly $1,500 back. It still gets us 20,000 streams a month with zero promotion 7 months after the album.
Nice.
So that's where I found out that you can actually break even or profit with just Spotify.
And you ran exclusively on stories.
That one was a little different. That was before I really figured out the ads. So a lot of it was trial and error.
You could actually probably say you would have done better with it knowing what you know now.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what happened is we had this big budget, so we had this massive algorithmic playlist spike, which is why now I'm trying to emphasize big budget during the first 72 hours.
Okay.
And for the first week in particular, to try to spike that algorithm. And that's kind of what I'm testing with the song that came out today. Is if I spend $150 in the first 3 days in ads, does that guarantee me like algorithmic playlist? Or
so you're trying to ascribe an actual dollar amount to tripping the algorithm?
Kinda, yeah.
I can set up a system. I can teach. Like this is my foolproof way that I have done several times. If you spend $150 and you do it my way, you're all but guaranteed to spike the algorithm.
Yeah, and cause right now I can already tell people like if you spend $10 a day promoting your song, like you'll grow your audience at a pretty sustainable rate, and you'll get real fans, and you'll grow over time. But it'd be cool to be able to say like, if you're an artist like my size, if you spend like $150 or even if it's $5, whatever the number is, in the first X amount of time, and it performs to this degree because you're targeting the right people with the right song, that you will almost definitively, time after time, hop in these algorithmic playlists.
Dude, that is what is up. I am immediately inspired to try this very thing on my next release. Yeah. Just to because it would be great to be able to try it on my end as well, and then be able to come to you and be like, dude, it totally worked. You were right.
Yeah. And, it could be a case where it flops. My last song was the first song that I decided to give the first 3 days in the first week more importance than the whole life of the song. Because I heard a few people mention that the first 72 hours are incredibly important. And there's a certain size factor of it where if Spotify sees you're getting all this traffic and great data and in a volume that's bigger than your current audience, they're going to be like what's happening? This person has, for example, if it was you have 67 followers. Why does he all of a sudden have 1,000 plays in the first couple days, and he has a save rate of 70%, and he's on 250 user playlists? It must be a freaking fantastic song, or something. So, that's what my channel is all about: testing these theories and reporting on them. And luckily, with having a channel, it gives me justification to be willing to kind of blow some money more than I might otherwise would. to test
Totally.
these theories.
Yeah.
But
That's I mean, I love that about your channel is that you are your own guinea pig. That's what I try to do as well, is just be like a musical guinea pig. And if you can save other artists some heartache and potentially some money early on by just being like, you don't have to say, don't do what I did. You can just say, here's what happened, and clearly it didn't work. And they're going to go, I'm not going to try that. That doesn't sound like it would work.
Right.
So it's really, you're kind of sacrificing yourself upon the altar of Spotify. It's kind of great.
Exactly. And I have had like my 2 songs ago, I had a song You that for some reason or another, the ads performed 3 times more expensive than the song before it. And so that video was kind of a bummer, but it was like, well, here's what I did. And these are the results I got anyways. It didn't perform as well as I hoped because it was 3 times more expensive, which, could mean it could mean the song wasn't as good. It could mean the audience I was targeting was bad. It could mean the video I used sucked. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of like I'm my own guinea pig in a way.
Before we wrap up, I want to talk about, we've talked about all these kind of successful decisions you've made, moving from playlist to Spotify, or to Facebook, and figuring out where to run your ads on stories and how to spend your money early and things like that. What are some like what's a couple of dismal failures you've had where you're like, holy crap, that totally didn't work, and I'm not going to do that again?
So the first ones I'll say is there was a lot of companies I tried in that playlist period. So I'll talk about a couple of those without name dropping.
Sure.
To avoid getting like sued for slander or whatever.
Right.
Whatever, no big deal. But like I've had playlist companies where I get put in a playlist and you can just tell like this is a BS playlist. So I'd say the number one is avoid hiring these playlist promotion companies. And this is not to say anything about Submit Hub or Playlist Push, because those don't operate in the same way. Those operate on a pitching to actual curator basis, and they're very transparent about it. They show you the response from the curators. What I'm talking about are services where you pay X amount of dollars and they just tell you later you got on these playlists, and most of them they actually own. So in my opinion, those companies should be heavily avoided or treated as more of a drop in the bucket portion of your ad spend at the very most. So I tried essentially every company you can imagine. If you just Google playlist promotion companies, if you see it on that Google list, I probably tried it. And so that's mistake number one. Next is there was another company that promised something different. They said, we have a kind of network, email list. We have all these people that we know, and we can shout out your song. And we can pretty much promise you X amount of followers and X amount of streams. And I was like, cool, I'll try it off with just like a small campaign, like $100 or something, just to test it. And I thought this company would be legit because I hired them to do my logo. And they did a great job. So I was like, okay, they did that great, I'll trust them on the service. And what happened is I got 5,000 streams overnight. I had a save rate of like less than 1%. I had almost no repeat listens, and I gained 250 followers within 24 hours. And then, 6 months later, when Spotify did their follower purge, like I already suspected all of that was BS. Like I almost guaranteed it was like, this must be bots. This company used bots on my account, and I was pissed. 6 months later, like, a few weeks ago or a month ago, Spotify did a purge, and I lost exactly the amount of followers that they gained me. So I was like, that just proved that they were BS. And as much as I want to scream from the hills and say, F this company, I avoid doing so. At least publicly. I will. If someone messages me and says, what should I avoid? I will tell them. But in general, just avoid all those companies. Like, if they can promise you
one of the rules I haven't said publicly, I guess, but one of the rules I've been toying with in my head, figuring out how to state it how I want to, is it seems like there's an inverse sort of relationship. The more work it takes, like the harder you have to work for it, the more time it takes, the more results you're actually going to get over time.
Yeah.
Like if it promises quick results, they're not going to be good results.
Yeah.
So sort of always lean towards like, is this too easy? If it's too easy, it's probably bull. It's probably not going to work.
Exactly.
Like, that seems to be the thing, right?
Yeah, I was actually talking to a friend of mine last night about this, where I said, this is a quote from somewhere, I don't remember where, but the quote is, if it was easy, everyone would do it, you know? And
right.
that's why, like, and just to think of it, okay, if being a successful artist with millions of fans was easy, then every single person that makes music would be famous, and therefore no one would be famous.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like, you know, the thing, if in the engineering world, what we joke is, you'll often say people like, this job's super hot right now, you got to do this first. But then you get to the point where
Right.
they say everything is hot. And so if everything's hot, nothing's hot.
Yeah.
And that's back
Right.
to what you said,
Yeah.
where, you know, if it's easy, it's probably not worth your time, and it's probably BS.
Yeah.
Because that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you can buy your way into things. Like, for example, if someone came to me and said, I want to hire you to manage my ad campaign, I'm going to drop $3,000 or $5,000 promoting my album with Facebook ads, you can pay your way to success if you have the right music with the right audience, with the right budget.
Right.
But that's not really the same thing. Like, it's genuinely just kind of showing your stuff to people in mass. And it's not
Right.
the same as hiring some magical company that's for $67 is going to turn you into a superstar. Like, it's a completely different thing.
Right.
So.
That's a completely different thing. And it's also, if someone were to hire you to run their ads, that's a very transparent interaction, like
Yeah.
face to face or over the phone or email or whatever. Like, you're a person that they can talk to, and then you're telling them very clearly, this is precisely what I'm going to do. I'm going to run these ads. This is how I'm going to target them. You have all of the information. This is all of the work that goes into it, rather than like, yeah, purchase the $500 package for 20,000 streams, and we'll let you know when it happens.
I mean, I try to make
what?
it relatively transparent. I mean, I say, you know, you got to provide me with videos. You got to provide me with a list of artists that you think are most relevant for me to target. I can't guarantee any kind of result. It kind of just depends on the audience and the ad and the music. And it's also being run, in most cases, in that person's own Facebook account. So they give me access to their business manager as like an account. I forget what it's called, but it's like a person who can run ads, but they can't like do everything in your business manager. They have the ability to see everything I'm doing. They could go in and tweak the ads themselves. They can see the conversions come in. They can go in their Spotify for Artists and confirm the data there. And I can go in their Spotify for Artists as a viewer and watch the data come in as it goes. And we interact, and that's how it works. And it's very transparent.
Yeah.
And when I can't give results to people, it makes me feel like crap. But that's just how it is sometimes. Like, it's sometimes songs just don't work as well as other songs. And
there's no guarantee.
Yeah. Whereas with the
That's one of the
playlist
tough
stuff,
things
you
about
can
this.
you can make anything pop if it's on the right playlist. It's just
That's right.
People will skip it a lot, and then it'll cause it to do
Yeah.
really badly in other ways.
Yeah. That's one of the things that's kind of tough about what we do as far as like just testing and trying and then reporting on it, is like results will vary, because your song, whoever's watching this, is different than the song that I use to get the data that I'm showing you.
Exactly.
And so there's an inherent bias in there that you really can't like ascribe a mathematical formula to. Like, there is a certain part of it that is just up in the air and you have no idea.
Exactly.
You just have to go, like,
Just have to try it.
that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the worst thing that happens is you fail, which it sounds bad to some people, but what, like, you got to think of what does that failure mean. And I often tell people, when you're doing this for the first time, if you're using my like YouTube videos to learn and try it, or like I have like a course I'm working on that I have some people in, and I say in that course and in the videos, if you're doing this for your first time, don't do what I do. Don't spend $20 a day. Don't spend $50 a day. Spend $5.
Right.
And that way, if you fail, it's really just like you don't go out to dinner next week, you know, to recoup your cost. It's not like, well, I guess I'm going to lose my car next month. You know, it's...
Right, yeah. Don't do that. God.
Yeah, it's so...
I was told, don't spend more on Facebook ads than you can afford to lose.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I was told.
And I had Adam Ivy on a video on my channel a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted him to report on things that artists should do before they run ads, because he's very well versed in the branding and content strategy stuff as well as ads. But so the biggest thing he said, I think he named 7 tips, but one of them was, don't spend more on ads than you're comfortable using. Treat it like gambling. Like it's not gambling, but treat it like you're 100% willing to let all this money go away and never come back and get zero results. Because that way it's, it's just better. Like if you need that money to survive, you shouldn't be running ads. It sucks to say, because that makes life harder for you, but that's just the nature of it. Or you need to go out and make more money. Like the way that...
go out and make more money.
And I know that sounds silly, but the way that I funded the first ads I ever ran, I think I was still working at Starbucks. So I wasn't making like great money. Right. I said, and even when after I started like working in engineering, the way I justified my ad cost was, okay, I'm spending $5 a day in ads. I'm not going to go to Dunkin' Donuts this morning and get a coffee. And then when I wanted to spend $10 a day in ads, I'm not going to get lunch from the cafeteria today. I'm going to bring lunch to work. And then through that, it's really like you're not spending anything. You're sacrificing some part of your life that's really not necessary in the first place to do something else in your life that's not necessary, but is more beneficial to you in the long run. Like, you could go out to eat this weekend, and it's fun. Or you could have a fun dinner at home and spend half the money and spend all that money in ads.
That's right.
Make your choice.
and if after all of that, if you still can't afford it, like, you have your time.
Oh yeah.
It may be a slower go, but spend your time. Like, do what we've done. Make videos. Like, learn and educate yourself, and then communicate with people. Like, I've gotten followers just from YouTube who've converted over to Spotify because they saw a video, and then comment and interact on Instagram. Like, these things, you're not going to get the wide swath that an ad is going to give you for your money, but it is something, and you have your time. So at the very least, you can spend your time.
Yeah, and when I did that call with Ruslan, who I mentioned earlier, I asked him, what is your number one, like, if you were starting from scratch, what would be your number one strategy to get from zero to where you are now? And because he doesn't use playlist promotion or Facebook ads much. Like, he just started getting into it. And he has 100,000 monthly listeners. So I'm like, what the hell would you do? He said, strategic collaborations as a primary artist. And I was like, oh snap, that makes a lot of sense. So, you might be, I don't have any money to run ads. I'm a 16-year-old. I don't work. I don't have any money. I don't even have a credit card to put in my Facebook ad account. But you're great at making music. So you might have 100 followers or 100 listeners, whatever. And you might find another artist that is also good, it's around your age, and collaborate with them. And all of a sudden, you're kind of sharing your audience. And then now you're a little bit bigger 6 months later. Find someone that's equivalent to your size or a little bit bigger and collaborate with them. And you kind of stagger this thing. And that's one of the reasons why I've been doing more collaborations on YouTube, for example, is aside from just being able to, like, on my channel, everyone that's seeing this, you and I are doing a video on my channel too. I don't know which one's going to be out first, but I guess you'll find out when you edit this video. But it's beneficial for both of us. Like, I have an audience that I think will totally dig your stuff, and you have an audience that I think will totally dig my stuff. And it doesn't always have to be one-to-one. Like, some YouTubers get kind of snobby, like, you have X amount of followers and I have X amount of followers, so we shouldn't collaborate because it'll benefit you more. It's not always like that. It's you have a value proposition that is beneficial to me, and it's not all about the numbers. It's about the value that a person can bring.
And you can also see, like for in this case, you are overwhelmingly doing me a favor. I have about 10% of the subscribers that you have, but I like to think that you see maybe potential in the videos I've made to grow my channel, which will only benefit you in the long run, having done this collaboration early.
Exactly.
Because you will be on there for a long time as my channel grows. Like, it's actually a pretty smart move for you even more so than it is for me.
You found out my whole scheme, the whole reason I'm here.
Exactly.
No, I mean,
Right.
so it's
when this guy gets 100,000, I will have been there for the ride, baby.
it's 100, like it's so many reasons. Like if you think of why would you collaborate with someone? Well, one, you gotta get a new person to chat with and bounce ideas off of, and then also I
Right.
get to learn from your experience. You get to learn from my experience.
Right.
Who knows? We might end
Right.
up working on a song together someday, and who knows? You might have a YouTube channel that's way bigger than mine someday. And
Right.
I try to open as many doors as possible, even if they never result in anything. Just because, just like in the engineering world, I would never burn a bridge by telling someone off unless they're being really mean to me. I wouldn't.
Right.
I want to do the same thing in the music world and establish all these relationships because you never know, and then it's just fun. Like this. I've had a great time chatting with you. Hopefully, you haven't been thinking, "Wow, this guy's a douchebag."
Me too. No, not even remotely, dude.
Awesome. Yeah. So
I mean, at the end of the day, we're getting to sit here and make a video for YouTube talking about the thing we love to do. So
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
we win.
We both win, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of YouTubers miss out on collaborating with smaller channels, and a lot of musicians miss out collaborating with artists who have less monthly listeners. Because
Right.
it's not all about finding the next big thing. And you know,
Right.
again, with mentioning this was kind of Ruslan's kind of theory that he brought it up in the call, which made me kind of get into it more. He mentioned that it's not always about finding the next bigger one. If you find a dope vocalist that's super small,
Right.
it's like he's giving you a huge value by being on your song. You're giving him in return a huge
Right.
value by boosting his monthly listeners and followers and giving him exposure.
Right.
And
Right.
it's a mixture of numbers and value and just kind of like having friends, you know?
Yeah. Dude, I love it. Well, I won't keep too much more of your time. We're at the 45-minute mark or so. So
Yeah. That's just for
dude,
this
thank
video.
you for Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this video, man. I appreciate you being on the channel, and I will link to you in the description and also in the end cards and whatnot, so people can go check you out.
Awesome.
So,
man.
before I let you go, is there anything you want to tell anybody where they can find you outside of YouTube? Where you want them to go?
Yeah. So I mean, so thanks so much for bringing me on your channel. Probably should have said this early, but hi everyone, nice to meet you. Thank you for having me. Yeah. So I mean, my name's Andrew Southworth, Southworth. But it's YouTube.com/Andrew Southworth for my YouTube content. Spotify, Andrew Southworth, or whatever music platform you like listening to stuff. And I hope to see some of you on YouTube and social media. Thanks for having me.
And that's it for my conversation with Andrew. I hope that you got a lot out of it. I certainly did. I've already started toying around with some of the stuff that we talked about in this video. I'm going to leave a link to Andrew's channel in the description of this video, and you can check it out here as well if you want to. Go give him a follow. Go throw him a like. He's got amazing content. It's super resourceful, super helpful, and he's just all around a gem of a human being. So go throw him your support. That's it for this one. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.